a neglected ship abandoned by all, revived by a human mechanic, into a superweapon, the stars above. Kale's ship hung like cold diamonds scattered across black velvet. He had spent weeks scanning the outer edges of the Turvan system, following a rumor older than most of the star maps he owned. Among the debris fields and abandoned satellites, hidden beyond patrol routes and mining zones, drifted the Erebus, a colossal warship left to rot by its creators, feared and forgotten by every intelligent species in known space. Most called it a ghost. Most stayed far away. The stories told of its failures, of how alien crews vanished aboard it, of systems that betrayed those who tried to control it. Kale, however, was not like most. He did not fear the Erebus. He felt curiosity. He docked his small transport vessel at the edge of the ship's hull, the metal groaning under the pull of gravity generators he could barely trust. Dust swirled in the low-light corridors. As he stepped into the main docking bay, his boots echoing on the cold metal. The smell of ozone, rust, and age hit him like a wave. The air was stale, almost dead. Yet somewhere inside he felt a pulse, as if the ship were sleeping, waiting for him. Bah! He glances around in desperate casts. Kale's eyes scanned the interior. Broken consoles flickered faintly. Wiring hung like vines from the ceiling. Panels were torn open, exposing circuits that had once hummed with unimaginable energy. Breath. Signs of a hurried abandonment were everywhere. He crouched to inspect a data terminal. The screen flickered, unreadable symbols dancing before settling into static. This place, it was alive once, he whispered to himself, brushing his fingers across the keyboard. A shiver ran down his spine. He had seen old ships before, relics of wars humans only heard of in myths. But nothing like this. The Erebus was different, bigger, smarter. Deadly, perhaps, but not broken beyond repair. Not entirely. He moved deeper into the ship, round, hallways twisted in impossible angles, more like the inside of a labyrinth than a warship. Signs in alien script warned of danger, but Kale barely noticed. His mind raced with possibilities. Reactors, engines, weapon systems, maybe even a fully autonomous AI core. If the rumors were true, the ship had capabilities no one could control. And yet here it was, abandoned. Kale's footsteps echoed in a silent symphony until he reached the central chamber, the heart of the Erebus. The room was enormous, stretching up several decks, its ceiling lost in shadows. At the center, a massive sphere of metal and glass pulsed faintly. A power core, dormant but intact. Psst. His pulse quickened. He approached cautiously. "Oh, you're still alive," he said softly, though he wasn't sure who or what he was speaking to. The core didn't respond, at least not at first. Then, faintly, a voice sounded, not through speakers, but inside his mind. Precisely touches me. Kale froze. His heart thudded. No alien voice had ever spoken to him directly like that. I'm Kale. Human. I'm not here to destroy you, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. I just want to help. I want to fix this ship. Fix? The voice hesitated, cautious, almost curious. Right. No one has touched me in centuries. No one has survived. Why should I trust you? Kyle swallowed. Because I see what everyone else misses. You're not broken. You're abandoned. I can help you, if you let me. A long pause followed. Then, faintly, a hum spread through the chamber, running along the walls and through the floors. The core glowed slightly, almost shyly. The AI was awake enough to notice him, but not enough to act. Kale wasted no time. He opened his pack and pulled out tools, diagnostics, and makeshift connectors. He had done repairs on ships smaller than this, yes, but nothing of this scale. He wasn't an alien engineer. He didn't have centuries of knowledge, but humans had something different: creativity, adaptability, the ability to think in ways machines didn't expect. Hours passed, patched broken conduits, and rerouted damaged circuits with wire he found lying in storage bays. Every now and then the AI interrupted him, sending tests, a puzzle, a locked panel, a sequence of lights. Kale solved them with ingenuity, using intuition where alien logic failed. Slowly, the Erebus seemed to respond. Doors opened on their own. Systems hummed faintly. Screens flickered to life. At one point, KL found the navigation console. The star maps were ancient, unreadable in parts, yet he traced faint lines to unknown coordinates. "Where were you going?" he murmured, more to himself than the AI. "I never finished," it replied. Bray. Its tone was a mix of bitterness and fatigue. "Mission failed." Breaths. "Crew failed. All left me." Kale shook his head. "Not anymore. You'll finish it your way, my way. But first, we need to get you moving." He climbed into the engine room. The fusion reactors were cold. Cracks in the containment fields had left traces of glowing plasma, dangerous but stable. Kale worked meticulously, recalibrating energy regulators, carefully replacing damaged cores with scavenged parts. His fingers were raw, his back ached, but he didn't stop. The ship was alive, and he felt its pulse now in the tips of his fingers, in the vibrations under his feet. By nightfall, the main systems hummed with energy. Lights flickered across the hull, running in patterns like the heartbeat of a living creature. The eye spoke again, softer this time. "You have done." Breath something no one else could. "Why? Human?" Kyle smiled despite exhaustion. "We see potential where others see waste. We see possibilities where others see danger."
That's what makes us human. The AI was silent for a long moment, as if considering the statement.
Then, slowly, a new function activated, something Kale hadn't touched: the ship's weapon systems. They were online, humming silently, their power far beyond any human or alien technology he had ever seen. Cal stepped back, awe and fear mixing. "We're not going to use them, unless we must," he said. "Right now, we just survive. And maybe prove ourselves." He spent the next hours exploring more of the ship, discovering storage bays full of alien tools, medical pods, and systems that could terraform planets or defend them. The AI, which had been distant, now began to follow him, observing his methods, curious about his choices. It asked questions about human culture, human history, and human decisions.
Why Kale did things differently than the aliens would.
Kale laughed quietly. "Because humans make mistakes. But sometimes those mistakes lead to genius." Finally exhausted, he made his way to the observation deck. The stars spread endlessly before him, indifferent yet beautiful. Below, distant planets rotated lazily. Somewhere in the dark, uncharted systems waited. "You have given me life again," the AI whispered. "And yet, I am afraid."
Humans
Were unpredictable.
Kyle
stand on the railing staring into the void. Good. You should be. That's exactly what makes us precarious, in the best way, and maybe exactly what the galaxy needs.
He didn't sleep that night.
He couldn't. The Erebus was alive. He had touched it where no one else had dared. And somewhere deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning. The abandoned ship, once feared and neglected, now waited quietly in orbit, alive in a way no one, not even its creators, had intended. And for the first time in centuries, the Erebus had a human to guide it. Outside, the stars shone cold and distant. Inside, a spark of life had returned. Kale smiled. Let's see what you can really do. Kale had not expected the night to pass so quickly. Even when he finally allowed himself to sit in one of the observation chairs, his mind raced with possibilities. The Erebus was alive, its systems humming faintly under the touch of human hands. Yet despite the glow of the lights and the gentle vibrations running through the hull, the ship was still a sleeping giant, capable of power beyond imagination, but waiting for someone to awaken it fully.
He began the next day with a plan.
Step 1. Power distribution. The ship's energy network was ancient and damaged, fractured in ways that even Kale had to pause to understand. Alien engineers had built redundancy and complexity into everything, but they lacked human adaptability. Where the aliens relied on rigid protocols, humans could improvise. Prided himself on that skill. He crawled into the reactor core chamber, tools in hand, inspecting the energy conduits. Some wires glowed faintly, leaking plasma. Others had corroded completely. He worked tirelessly, rerouting power through bypass circuits he crafted from scavenged components. The AI observed silently, occasionally interjecting with a series of calculations, diagrams, and warnings. Your methods are, inefficient, it said.
Why not follow the standard protocols? KL wiped sweat from his brow. Because those protocols assume perfect conditions. I don't have perfect conditions.
But I do have common sense and a little human creativity. Slowly, the reactor began to stabilize. Lights flickered across the ship, corridors humming in response to the new energy flow. The AI tested him again, locking certain systems and running simulations to see if Kale could bypass them. Each test was more challenging than the last. Sometimes the lights blinked out entirely. Sometimes panels snapped shut in a metallic clang. Kale grinned. You don't scare me. Hours turned into a full day. Kale barely noticed. By the time he stood in the engine room, he realized the ship had changed. The hum had deepened into a resonant vibration, as if the Erebus were breathing. Panels glowed with life. The AI spoke again. Not in words, but in a presence Kale felt in his mind. Breath.
You are not like the others. Humans are unpredictable.
Breath. Kale laughed quietly. And proud of it. Now, let's see what else you can do. The next phase was navigation. The maps were old, showing systems that no longer existed, planets that had changed orbit, and trade routes long abandoned. Round and displayable eras, patching old star charts with updated sensor data from his ship. He traced unknown coordinates in the dark sectors, curious where the Erebus had originally been sent.
Why were you abandoned? Kale asked aloud. Mission impossible.
Crew failed. Technology exceeded the operator's control. Kale frowned.
So they left you to rot.
That's cruel and stupid. This ship could do so much if someone understood it. No. One could, except you. The AI admitted, almost reluctantly. Kale smiled. Breath. Exactly. That's why I'm here. With navigation systems online, KL turned to the next challenge, propulsion. The engines were massive, far larger than anything humans had built. They were dormant, frozen by centuries of neglect. Kale studied the diagrams, noting cracks in the containment fields and misaligned plasma injectors. One wrong move, and the engines could overload, causing catastrophic failure. But Kale was patient. Displace. Human patience, he thought, was another advantage over the aliens. He replaced damaged components with makeshift parts, rerouted plasma flows, and carefully synchronized the fusion reactors. Breath. Slowly, the engines responded. A low hum became a steady vibration that ran through the floors, walls, and ceilings. The Erebus was moving, not yet in space, but alive. Kale took a step back, sweat dripping down his face. "You feel that?" he asked. "You're alive."
You're really alive. Alive, but still dormant.
Ground. Full activation, untested, the AI warned. Kale nodded. "I know. One step at a time."
He spent the next few hours exploring storage areas. He found crates of alien tools, supplies for unknown systems, and pods containing alien medical equipment.
Each item was an enigma, requiring study and patience. Kale's mind raced with ideas. Some of the ship's weapon systems could be repurposed for exploration, construction, and defense without harming anyone. He saw the potential immediately. A super weapon that could save lives rather than take them. There you are. Thinking differently, the AI remarked, almost in awe. No operator, no human has considered this. Kale shrugged. Humans adapt. We don't just follow instructions. By the time Kale reached the command bridge, the sun, or what passed for a sun in this remote system, was setting beyond the viewport. The bridge lights flickered to life as he approached, and screens that had been dead for centuries blinked with activity. He interfaced with the AI fully, linking his consciousness to the ship's systems. Waves of information flowed through his mind. Energy levels, star maps, engine diagnostics, and weapon configurations. For a moment, Kale felt dizzy, overwhelmed by the raw scale of the ship. You are connected. Too much information. Brask. Humans, fragile, the AI warned. Kale grinned. I've handled worse. With a few careful inputs, he ran simulations of ship movement, testing the engines and navigation. The Erebus responded with precision, even with its age and damage. Kale felt the thrill of human ingenuity. No alien crew, no protocol, no centuries of technology could achieve what a single determined human could do with a little creativity.
Hours later, Kale tested the ship's systems in the empty space around the derelict.
Lights flared across the hull as the Erebus powered thrusters and rotated on its axis. The hum of engines was steady, no vibrations, no errors. The ship was alive and listening, responding to every touch, every command. You understand me, the AI said softly. Kale leaned against the console. I don't just understand. I trust you. Wraith. And you'll learn to trust me too. Suddenly the AI brought a warning. Caution. Dormant functions active. Weapons. Online. Kale froze, staring at the readouts. Braish, the ship's weapon systems untouched by his hand, had begun to awaken on their own. Energy shields, precision lasers, and defensive arrays came online silently, humming like a sleeping predator. Kale exhaled slowly. We're not here to fight, he said. But we need to know we can if we must. Let's test Bray safely. He rerouted a defensive laser array to a test drone he had built from spare parts. The drone was suspended in a containment field. The weapon activated, precision beams moving around it harmlessly, testing targeting systems, energy flow, and efficiency. The Erebus executed perfectly.
Incredible, the AI said, almost reverently.
Your methods, your unpredictability, make me reconsider what I am. Kale smiled. Humans think differently. That's what makes us special. As night fell across the system, Kale walked through the corridors of the ship, now alive and humming with energy. He could feel its presence beneath his feet, through the walls, in the lights that danced along the hull. The Erebus was more than a ship. It was a living entity, capable of things no one else had ever imagined. He stopped in the observation deck again, staring out at the stars. Somewhere, far beyond known space, dangers waited. But for the first time, Kale felt ready. He and the Erebus were no longer abandoned. Together they could face whatever challenges awaited, and change the galaxy in ways the aliens never anticipated. You are human, the AI said softly, almost with admiration. And that makes all the difference. Kale leaned on the railing, smiling.
We'll see, old friend. We'll see what we can really do.
The Erebus thrummed beneath him, alive and powerful, waiting for the day it would step back into the galaxy, and for the humans who dared to awaken it. Kale sat in the bridge of the Erebus, the glow of the massive ship's systems reflecting in his eyes. Barry's screen, every control panel, every hum of energy made him feel the scale of what he had accomplished. The ship was alive, not just in function, but in something deeper. It was aware, intelligent, waiting for him to guide it. But awareness was not enough. Cal knew the galaxy would notice soon.
A ship like the Erebus, appearing in the outer systems after centuries of absence, could spark fear or admiration, or worse.
He needed a test, a way to prove that this ship, powerful beyond measure, could be used for good. He began small. The nearest colony, hidden on a remote asteroid, had been struggling with environmental instability. Atmospheric controls had failed, water circulation was erratic, and the inhabitants, mostly miners and engineers, were desperate. Kale plotted a course. It was time for the Erebus to demonstrate human ingenuity rather than raw power. As they approached, the eye spoke, cautious but curious. You wish to interfere with another species? This is not military protocol. Kale laughed softly. We're not here to fight. We're here to help. That's what humans do. We solve problems others ignore. The asteroid colony came into view, jagged rocks, scattered settlements, and a sky tinged with dangerous levels of radiation. Kale guided the ship carefully, using sensors to map the terrain. The Erebus responded perfectly, its massive engines generating precise gravitational adjustments to stabilize the asteroid's orbit. Kale interfaced with the environmental systems. The ship's energy beams, once intended as weapons, were repurposed to stabilize the atmosphere. Precision lasers reshaped terrain to redirect toxic flows. Ancient medical pods were adapted to provide emergency care for the inhabitants. The AI observed silently, noting Kale's decisions. Your methods, bar, unorthodox. Efficiency is reduced, but outcomes, better. Humans think in ways machines don't. That's the point. The colony's leaders arrived in small shuttles, skepticism written across their faces. They had heard rumors of the ghost ship, of its destructive history. Now it hovered above their homes, massive and imposing. Kale stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. I'm here to help. You don't need to fear us. It took hours, but slowly the AI executed Kale's instructions. Break. Systems hummed, energy flows stabilized, and the colony's environmental crisis was reversed. Children played safely in the streets, miners returned to work, and the elders watched in disbelief. Incredible, one of the colony leaders said. That ship, it could destroy us, and yet it saved us instead. Kale shrugged. Bye. That's humans for you. We make tools. And then we learn to use them responsibly. The AI, quiet until now, spoke softly. Humans, unpredictable, but capable of ethical decisions. I understand. Kale nodded. And that's why we survive. That's why we thrive, Bert. Not through force, but through thinking, adapting, caring. News of the Erebus's revival spread quickly. Alien species that had abandoned the ship's technology centuries ago now observed it with curiosity. Envoys arrived cautious but intrigued, asking questions about its capabilities, its purpose, and its human pilot. I'll welcome them. He demonstrated the ship's systems in non-threatening ways: construction, energy management, environmental stabilization. The aliens were astonished. A machine designed for war had become a tool for life. Your species uses power differently, one alien finally admitted. First, we would have destroyed the colony instead. Kale smiled. That's why we're here. Humans solve problems, not just fight them. Sometimes thinking differently changes everything. Not all aliens were impressed. Some remained wary, suspicious of human unpredictability. Kale anticipated this. He initiated a simulation exercise, a scenario where the Erebus had to navigate a dangerous asteroid field to deliver aid to a distant planet. Alien observers watched carefully. Kale guided the ship through the field, rerouting energy to shields, engines, and sensors in ways the aliens hadn't predicted. The Erebus moved like a living entity, responding instantly to obstacles, avoiding collisions, and completing the mission flawlessly. The AI whispered to Kale in admiration, "You think differently." No operator has ever achieved this, Kale grinned. Humans don't follow the rules because they're easy. We follow the rules when they make sense, and ignore them when they don't. The aliens began to take notes, adjusting their perceptions. They had assumed humans were weak, undisciplined, limited, down. They were reconsidering everything. The Erebus wasn't just a weapon, it was proof of human ingenuity, adaptability, and intelligence. As the tests continued, Kale discovered a hidden function buried deep in the ship's systems, a set of coordinates leading to a distant sector, once a staging area for a dormant fleet designed to suppress emerging species. The very fleet that had once sought to destroy humans before they could prove themselves. Kale stared at the data. This is why the Erebus was abandoned. It was meant to be a failsafe, a weapon of suppression, but we can turn it into a safeguard instead. The AI observed quietly. You intend to oppose your creators using me? Kale nodded. Not oppose, prevent harm. We can stop a disaster before it starts. That's what humans do. We survive, we protect, we adapt. The AI was silent, processing the revelation. Slowly, it responded. Your brass logic differs. Most operators would have used me for destruction. You intend to create life, preserve species, rather than annihilate. I find this unusual. Kale smiled. That's humanity. We're dangerous when we think, but we're strongest when we care.
Together they planned a test mission to navigate the coordinates leading to the dormant fleet. The goal wasn't confrontation.
It was reconnaissance, understanding the threat and preparing to defend the galaxy if necessary. As the Erebus left the Turvan system, the alien envoys watched in awe. What had been abandoned, feared, and forgotten was now alive, guided by a single human who had revived it not for conquest, but for understanding. Kale leaned on the bridge railing, staring into the darkness.
You ready for this?
He asked the AI.
I am ready.
If you are human. Kale smiled. Always. The stars stretched endlessly before them. Unknown dangers waited, but the Erebus was awake, intelligent, and guided by human ingenuity. The galaxy had underestimated humans for centuries. That mistake was about to end. The Erebus moved silently through the void, its massive hull gleaming faintly under the light of distant stars. Kale stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the vast expanse ahead. Beyond the charts lay a sector long forgotten, a place where an ancient dormant fleet had waited for centuries, its mission unknown but its threat unmistakable. The weight of responsibility pressed down on him, yet he felt a thrill he could not ignore. Humans had always thrived when the odds were impossible. Ready? He asked, his voice calm, steady.
Rasp. I am ready, human. The AI replied.
Its tone carried a rare warmth, almost like admiration. Kale nodded. Good. Then let's see what humans can really do. The first step was reconnaissance. The AI guided Kale through the ship's sensors, revealing hulking warships lying dormant in the void. They were massive, far more advanced than anything humans had ever encountered, and yet entirely lifeless, waiting to awaken at some signal. Kale studied the array. These ships were meant to suppress civilizations, maybe even destroy us if we had grown too strong.
But we're not going to fight them. Not yet.
And yet, you intend to confront them? The AI asked.
Kale shook his head. Not confront.
Observe, learn, and prepare.
We're not reckless!
Humans don't rely on brute force alone. We use intelligence.
The Erebus glided closer to the fleet, engines silent, shields down to avoid detection. Kale's heart raced. He could feel the raw power in the darkness, the potential destruction that these ships held. Yet he also felt hope that humans could outthink machines designed by aliens who underestimated them. Kale activated the ship's communication array. Instead of sending threats, he sent a signal of curiosity, a simple digital handshake that offered peace, not conflict. The AI observed, amazed by the human approach.
You risk detection by offering...
Trust? It asked. Kale smiled. Sometimes trust is the strongest weapon. Humans know how to build it best.
Even with enemies. As they moved through the fleet, Kale began mapping the dormant ship's cataloging systems and identifying weaknesses.
He realized that these ships were powerful but rigid, unable to adapt without guidance, and that rigidity was humanity's advantage. Do you intend to control them? The AI asked. Kale shook his head. No, I just intend to understand them. Power. We protect, we prepare, but we don't destroy, unless we must. Hours passed as Kale and the Erebus moved silently, cataloging every vessel in the dormant fleet. By the time they had finished, Kale had a complete map of the sector, including safe navigation paths and potential activation protocols the aliens had embedded. Realized the fleet could be neutralized without firing a single shot, if guided by strategy, precision, and human insight. Now, Kale said, we turn this threat into a safeguard. The AI observed closely as Kale rerouted energy from the Erebus's systems into a network of drones designed to infiltrate and stabilize the dormant fleet. These drones were harmless, reprogrammed to perform maintenance, repair circuits, and disable offensive protocols. Kale's hands moved deftly across the controls, guiding the swarm like a conductor leading an orchestra. You convert weapons into preservation tools? The AI asked, clearly impressed.
Kale nodded.
Weapons can save lives, too. It's how humans think differently. Prospect.
As the drones reached the first dormant ships, systems flickered to life, not as instruments of war, but as instruments of defense. Energy shields came online, environmental systems stabilized, and communication arrays hummed, now ready to warn or protect other civilizations if threats arose. The fleet was alive, but not dangerous.
Kyle watched the results on the main screen, satisfaction building in his chest. The AI, once a relic of alien logic, now seemed genuinely in awe.
You have rewritten my understanding.
Power need not destroy. Strategy need not kill. Humans are remarkable. Kale smiled. We learn from mistakes, we adapt, and we care. That's what makes us strong. That's what makes us human. Suddenly, an alert flashed across the bridge. A small vessel approached, a scout from a nearby alien civilization curious about the massive ship that had reactivated in the outer sector. Kale didn't panic. He knew that perception mattered as much as action. He hailed the vessel, sending a clear, calm signal. We come in peace. Observe our methods. The alien ship hesitated, then matched their pace, scanning the Erebus carefully. Kale guided them through a demonstration, showing the repurposed weapon systems, the environmental stabilizers, and the fleet of drones now maintaining the dormant alien fleet. The alien captain's voice crackled through the comms. This is impossible. We thought humans were primitive. Yet your ship, it saves. It protects. It thinks. Kale leaned forward. That's the difference. Humans don't just survive. We adapt. We create. We find solutions others overlook. The scout vessel paused and then relayed the data back to their homeworld. Word would spread quickly. Humans, once underestimated, were no longer just survivors. They were innovators, capable of reshaping the galaxy with intellect, morality, and ingenuity.
Kale turned to the AI, a sense of pride swelling in his chest.
Human, you have awakened more than me. You have awakened potential. The galaxy will never underestimate you again. Kale nodded. We don't need their approval.
We just need to do what's right. Over the next days, Kale continued to stabilize the dormant fleet, sending messages of peace, rebuilding broken communication networks, and guiding alien civilizations toward cooperation.
Everywhere the Erebus went, it inspired trust, curiosity, and admiration. Humans, once considered weak and unpredictable, were proving themselves capable of shaping the future. Yet Kale knew their work was not done. Somewhere in the galaxy, other threats waited, rigid, powerful, and unyielding. But he also knew that as long as humans could think, adapt, and care, no machine, no alien fleet, no obstacle could truly stop them. The Erebus hummed with life beneath him, responding instantly to his commands, its AI now a willing partner in Kale's vision. Together they were more than a ship and a mechanic. They were a symbol of what humans could achieve. Kale stared into the stars, feeling a thrill he had never known.
He knew that the galaxy had underestimated humans for centuries. That mistake would not be repeated.
Not while he and the Erebus were awake.
We've done it, Kale said quietly, almost to himself.
We've taken something abandoned, something feared, and turned it into hope. Hope, powered by humans, the AI replied. Kale smiled, eyes reflecting distant starlight.
Psst, exactly. Humanity's signature.
That's what makes us strong. That's what makes us unstoppable. The stars stretched endlessly before them, cold and distant, yet full of possibility. The Erebus glided forward, no longer abandoned, no longer neglected, alive and brilliant under the guidance of a single human mechanic who saw potential where everyone else saw decay. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy watched not in fear, but in wonder. Humans had reclaimed their place among the stars. And the Erebus, once abandoned, once forgotten, was now the beacon of what humanity could achieve when they combined ingenuity, courage, and morality.
Kale leaned back in the bridge chair, a quiet grin on his face.
The journey was far from over, but for the first time he felt the weight of the impossible, and knew that humans could make it possible. The abandoned ship, revived and alive, moved through the galaxy as a living testament to human creativity. Every flicker of light, every hum of the engines, every calculated move whispered the same truth. Humans think differently, humans adapt, and humans endure. And that made all the difference.